Hi, it's Carolina with alwaysexpectmore.com. Today we're doing block 9 of the Cricut Maker block of the week. That's our final block before we put together sashing and borders and quilt and bind our quilt. We're getting in that home stretch of seeing the whole quilt come all together. If you've just found this video series and you want to get started, you can find the link below for www.alwaysexpectmore, that's more with 2 O's.com/Cricut Maker BOTW for block of the week. If you're ready to get started with block 9, today we're making the Mother's Dream. We're making our Mother's Dream block, which is our aqua, white, and pink. So I have the fabrics that I've labeled as aqua, white, and pink. I've already put them on my mat and I'm ready to take them to my maker. As always, make sure you remove that pen and put back on that lid so we don't dry out our pens. I've done it before and it's no fun. We're ready to go take everything over to the ironing board and the sewing machine. Right here I've laid out the pieces, and I know there's a couple of you saying, oh my goodness, this is way more complicated than anything we've done. But remember, this is block 9. We've been building up and up and up to more complicated things. So does this look more complicated? Well, it does, but it really isn't, because we're going to build this in rows. This is actually your first row. This here is your next row. This all the way across is your third or middle row. Then your fourth row, and then your bottom row. And that's the way we're going to build it. So in order to put these rows together, we first need to put all of our little 2 pieces together to make squares. And we've done that before in the past. Usually we make half square triangle squares. This time we're making 2 rectangle squares. So we'll go ahead and stitch those together. Once we do that, we can stitch everything into rows, and then once we have our rows, we can just stitch our rows together just like normal. It's just we're kind of doing it at this weird angle instead of doing everything straight across. So let's go ahead and put these right sides together and stitch. And then we can press, just pick one side to press to keep it neat. These are both pretty equal, so I'm going to go ahead and press to that pink. Now I can put all these pieces back. I had the pink towards the aqua. We don't want aqua touching aqua. We're switching it up, pink and aqua. So there we go. Now we can go ahead and put our rows together. Row 1 doesn't need any more stitching because it's only one piece. Row 2 is this piece, and this piece. Make sure you have your smaller triangles up in the corners and your larger triangles here on the side. It might look a little bit like this small triangle will fit right in here, but it really is too small once you have seam allowances. So you want those tiny triangles in the corners and the large triangles on the side. When we go to stitch these 2 pieces together, we'll actually line up this side and this side. So when this opens up, you'll have one straight line all the way across the bottom. So we're going to line up 2 sides of our triangle. And then if we've done it right, you'll be able to see that this blue line goes all the way up and matches just kind of at the end of this triangle. Now if you're more advanced, you can go ahead and start putting together this piece and this piece, but since this is the first time that we've done a big block like this, I'm going to go ahead and stop, put it back in place to make sure I've done it right, and then do the other triangle. So now row 2 is complete. We're going to do the same with row 3 and row 4, and row 5 is already complete because it's just one piece. Let's go ahead and stitch these. You can line this up, center it on the triangle, and you'll see that the blue lines on this side match up with the blue lines on this side. All right, that's row 3. Now we just have to do row 4. Same as row 2. 2 sides are lining up. So now all our rows are complete, but we haven't pressed them yet. We need to figure out how we're going to press. It makes the most sense on this row to press these out. And if we're pressing these out, that means that these ones will have to be pressed in. These seams won't interfere with anything, so we can choose in or out. Since these ones are in, these ones will be out again, and that'll make sure that everything nests up. So we move that one out of the way. Generally speaking, I do like to press out if I have the choice. So I'm going to go ahead and press these triangles out. The reason that we're pressing out is because we have this extra seam right here. And if we pressed in, that seam would double over on itself and we would have such a big lump right here. That would be noticeable in our finished quilt. By pressing in the other direction, we make it smoother and we just spread that bulk across the entire length. I'm gonna grab my scissors and clip off all these dog ears. They're extra and we don't need them. They'll actually be in our way as we sew. And trying to clip them later can be more difficult. So we just go ahead and clip them now. And we're just clipping so that the line is straight across. All right, so we have all of our rows stitched. We just need to stitch our rows together. We'll start by stitching rows 1 and 2. It's no secret that I love chain piecing, so I'm going to go ahead and stitch together rows 4 and 5 as well. Just stitch a little further on this one, touch the next set under, and stitch. Now you could stop and press these seams now, but there's nothing going across these seams. You always want to make sure that you press a seam before something else goes across it. Since that's not the case here, I can just line these up, make sure to match and nest those seams. Line everything up on this side. And sew this row together. I can't chain since this last piece is going onto this piece, so I'll go ahead and cut, open it up, add this last piece on, nest, match up, and stitch. Now all I have to do is press this. There's a lot going on here. So what I'll do is I'll fold this out of the way while I press these seams out. I'm pressing here. And here. And then the opposite side as well. That's it. Our final block, block 9, is complete. That's how easy it is to make this mother's dream block. I know when you saw all those pieces together, you thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be so difficult, but we broke it down into pieces and put it all together. And really, that's the essence of making a quilt. Smaller pieces come in together to make larger pieces. Those larger pieces come in together to make even larger pieces, and so on until you get your entire quilt that you get to quilt and bind and put together, and it becomes an heirloom forever and ever. If you enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to this channel so you get all of our updates, including next week when we put our sashings on this quilt. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I'm really good about following up and answering those questions. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week to put the quilt together.